Good evening, everybody. My name is Scott Brown, and welcome to yet another edition of Chasing Rabbits, my vlog dedicated to helping you become the leader that you wish you had had. So after last night's session, as I was winding down, I received an email from a friend of mine that asked a simple question. He said, as I listen to you, it seems as though you're trying to flip everything that Simon Sinek has presented over the past decade upside down. Do you think he's wrong? And to me, that's a really easy question to answer because it's a resounding no. He's absolutely not wrong in anything he has proposed. I just think that I have a different perspective than what he does. And let me explain what I mean by having a different perspective and what that does. So I grew up in Pittsburgh. I graduated from high school in the mid-1980s, which meant that from the time that I went into ninth grade until I graduated, I saw Pittsburgh change from the steel city to a member of the Rust Belt. The steel industry collapsed. When I went to college, during my sophomore year, we had the great financial crisis of Black Monday in 1987, where the stock market crashed. A couple of years later, when I was graduating, all of a sudden we had a recession that started in the early 1990s. Also, when I was in college, I went to college to be an accountant, of all things. I know, if you know me, that's crazy. But I went to college to be an accountant. And in 87, 88, somewhere around there, Microsoft released their first Windows-based version of Excel, which meant that everything that I was learning in college, which was accounting based upon handwritten spreadsheets, added and subtracted manually, it meant that I was becoming a bookkeeper, not an accountant. After I graduated from college, when I got into the real world, I found that I got to experience the dot-com bubble burst, 9/11, the global financial meltdown of 2007, 2008, COVID. And as a retailer, when I started, my first job in retail was with Kmart. And I remember Kmart saying, Walmart means nothing to us. They're not going to be a competitor. I think we saw how that worked out. And then when I went to the department store side of retail, I remember them saying, internet shopping is never going to affect us. Nobody's going to ever stop coming into stores. And I think that Amazon would have say something completely different about that stance. So everything that I have seen throughout my career, my generation has seen since we entered the workforce, has been nothing but turmoil. All we have seen is change. We've not seen stability. Everything we've seen is change. What's happened is that the game that we were told we were going to play when we entered high school ended up not being the game that we had to play at all. Not only were we then expected to change how we played the game that we were told to play, but the game itself was completely different. We were left not knowing how to play this game, not even knowing what this game was, and we were always left to wonder, what if? What if the steel industry hadn't collapsed? What if we had done something to prevent that? What if the dot-com bubble hadn't burst? Because things like Pets.com, it wasn't that that the concept of shipping food to people's homes was ridiculous. It was that there wasn't an infrastructure available at the time to do it. We all subscribe to Chewy. We all get food from Amazon. All of that has happened since the internet came around, but it's completely changed how we play the game itself. So no, I don't think that Sinek's wrong in any way, shape, or form. I just think that it's a different perspective. See, a lot of the traditional view on how organizations work stems from a viewpoint of standing in the middle of an organization, from finding yourself right here in this middle, standing on this X right below me, that I'm in the organization, looking out at the organization. And how I look out at my business, how I look out at my company, that changes my perspective. But what if you weren't on the inside of the situation, you're on the outside looking into it? It changes your perception. I have found that my generation has been on the outside looking in at change on a regular basis for as long as we've been alive. All we have known is this change. It's changed our perception. It's changed how we process what's happening around us. So the concept of what if is just different from different types of game theories. Most game theory is created by putting the player into the game. It wants to know what happens within the game. It wants to be able to determine how the game should be played based upon being in the game itself. It's mathematical, it's logical. The world's not logical. We've seen that over the past 50 years. The world is anything but logical. So if you remove yourself from the game and look at the game from a different perspective, all of a sudden you don't have a finite and infinite game. And that's time bound, and how you play depends upon how long you want to play that game, what's going to happen within that time period. Now all of a sudden you're looking at the game as, what game am I playing? How do I want to play it? And how do I form the game that matters most to me, that I can be most successful in? Because I know the world's going to change around me. It's going to change the game that I thought I was playing. So do I think that there are any other theorists out there that have wrong theories? Yeah, I do. But it's not cynic. I think there's a lot of amazing work that's been done within game theory and within leadership over the past 50 years. That's not wrong. It's just different. My goal isn't to prove anybody right or wrong, including myself. My goal is to help you as an emerging leader, as a current leader, develop a different perspective in how you can interrelate, how you can build relationships, how you can align what you say, what you do, what you think, and what you aspire to become, how you can make those changes to change the game so that you have the best possibility, not of necessarily winning the game, but of getting the best outcomes. My goal is to help you change your perspective so that you help build relationships with everybody else that is within your sphere. So no, do I think that there is anything wrong with current theory that's out there? Absolutely not. My goal is just to help you look at the world differently, to change your perspective, move you outside from looking in at the game, from looking outside in, and look from the outside into the game. So, having said all that, I hope that you can see that what I'm proposing, what I'm trying to do with you, isn't to get you to give up on somebody else. It's just to look at all of it in a different way. All of it in a different way. I see my friend Alex has logged on. He and I have been friends since we were 4 years old. And we have seen the world change around us mightily. If you ask anybody from our generation, is the world today the world you expected it to be? No. Let's change our perspective so we can change our relationships, so we can change the game we play by asking the right questions at the right time to the right people. Until tomorrow, I hope you succeed at whatever game you're playing. Think differently. Think about perspective. It's going to change how you see everything. Have a good night, my friends, and I will talk to you tomorrow.